Okay, so for the last, week and a half-ish, 2 weeks, I've been messing around with these boys right here. So the very first ones I got were basically the gamer sups as samples from, because they give those out for free, so they were the easiest to obtain. And then a little bit later, I got like a starter set for G Fuel and the Dubby. So for the last week and a half, I've kind of been like replacing my soda with some of this stuff. So I've been drinking mostly this type stuff for my caffeine intake, and like maybe like one, maybe 2 cans of like Mountain Dew. And even then, sometimes maybe not even 1 can. But that's basically been most of my consumption, is the non-sugary stuff that also has stuff to it. So there were a couple things I think that are of note when it comes to something like this. So starting off with the Dubby. So they advertise having a jitterless energy blend. So something you'll notice with like all these is they may to some extent say like, oh, it's jitter free or whatever. And to that, I would add a caution, is that I think that assumption is based on the fact that you're not going to the point to where like you're hungry or near empty. And if you're at that point, or it's the first thing you drink in the day before you even eat, then you may feel some of that jitter just because you have no substance on your body to like help process it. So that's something to note with like all of these, is that important point. So with the Dubby in particular, every one of them has their own little like, well, they all have their own little fancy like nutrient, whatever, antioxidant formula that they put into it and what all. And then they've got like a select few different vitamins that they add into it. So Dubby, when I first came across it, was actually an ad on Facebook when I was like peeking at that for 2 seconds. And it's like, oh, we're looking for streamers, any size, this, that, and the other. Basically, their affiliate program is such a way that if you breathe, they accept you. So, the contents of it, kind of like right there, you've got the vitamin C and B vitamins, their little fancy energy blend, and then the neurofactor blend that apparently, like, for whatever reason, just has whole coffee fruit. And then they've got their extra little ingredients underneath their flavorings and stuff. Let's see, what was it? This one, I believe, do I still have that? Yeah, somewhat. So, no sugar, fillers, or artificial dyes. So they don't say anything about artificial flavors or things like that. So I guess technically that ingredient list is not like filler crap, because there's no corn starchy stuff. But at the same time, if we look up there, so like 1 serving is 5.3 grams, which is basically a scoop like that. So if I, for scale, it's gonna, I believe, be a little bit less than the G Fuel would be, because G Fuel does 7 grams as their standard serving. And so with the Dubby, 1 serving goes to like, what, 12 to 16 ounces of water is how they recommend doing that. You can, of course, increase water, decrease the water as you like the flavoring. But there are other things with that I think I'll touch on later on once I get through the others. So the G Fuel I got in packets. So after getting my sample pack or starter kit, which came with a shaker bottle, which I've basically been using for like the purposes of mostly of drinking any of this stuff. I did get the build your own box kit, which came with a shipped in a display box. And I mean, that's like the last flavor out of that like first starter kit that they send you. But yeah, I mean, if you haven't heard of G Fuel, then like you must be living under a rock, because just about everyone has talked about it in some length, like in certain gaming areas. Let's see if I can get this to focus. So you can see actually they don't lay it out too good. I was thinking about getting a tub and I'm like, I've got these already. Anyway. So let's see. We've got again the B12, like B vitamins, niacin, blah blah blah. Vitamin E, so it like vitamin C, it does have a few more vitamins than the OW does. And then it's also got energy stuff, taurine, that kind of thing, caffeine and whatnot. And then it's got its antioxidant stuff, like from various fruit extracts and whatnot. And then there are the directions right there, yeah. So again, much like the Dubby, on one serving they recommend mixing it with 12 to 16 ounces of water. And you kind of run into a similar issue with that, except it's a little bit more than the Dubby. So if you imagine that scoop, it's possibly going to be a little bit bigger. Well, maybe not, because like once you squeeze down the powder, it's like that much of it. But it's possible it could be a bigger scoop still. So you've got 5.3 grams in the Dubby, and then 7 grams G Fuel. So like we can... And again, I've been messing around with this for like the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks. And for the first little bit, I was doing G Fuel until my canisters of Gamer Sups came in. So one thing to note with the Dubby is this Dragonade is basically their signature flavor. And it's basically lemonade with a little bit of dragon fruit to it. And you can still get some of that, like, sugar-free sweetener, whatever, aftertaste to it. That diabetes aftertaste. Because you've got that sucralose in there and the asulfame potassium, which are basically both sweeteners in that respect. The G Fuel basically has the same deal going on to where it's... Let me find it in there. So yeah, they've got the asulfame potassium, the sucralose, and then what was that over? Oh, that's the dye. So G Fuel is not shy about the dyes. So finally, Gamer Sups came in a little bit later. In the last couple of days, I've basically been going with that. So the difference between the Gamer Sups and the G Fuel and the Dubby is that with one serving, you're mixing it into 8 ounces of water instead. But when you compare like the scoop size or the amount that you're mixing in there per serving for like that 8 ounces, okay, you've got basically 1.5 grams of powder that you're mixing in there. And this is for energy variety, which has caffeine in it, but also most of their flavors have a caffeine-free variety equivalent, which will run you a little bit less at 1.3 grams. So, and then let's get that zoomed in. Okay, so the erythritol is basically derived from stevia, which the other two don't seem to have. You've got vitamin C, your D3, B, H, and then that's basically, again, this is one of their like special energy whatever blends, their nootropics blend with caffeine in it, and at the bottom, so got a whole list of stuff. And then the bottom there, you've got your erythritol listed again, which is derived from stevia. You've got your dyes, your isulfame potassium, asulfame K, basically that's what it is, and some sucralose still, but I believe some of that like sweetener from those two is offset by the erythritol or stevia. So they don't have a lot of the same stuff. And then for the caffeine-free variety, for those of you that want that, you've basically got the same vitamins, and then you've got some of the energy components removed. They're like 3 of them that they remove from it, but they keep the ginseng in there, which is kind of funny. But yeah. One thing to note is the only one that I've seen with any allergy warnings on it is the Dubby, and it talks about like where they make their stuff: milk, eggs, fish, shellfish, blah 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 blah. G Fuel doesn't advertise it or seem to, but Gamer Supps, for you keto people, is apparently keto friendly and things like that. But if we compare scoop sizes now, so here's our, let me move that out of the way. Again, here's, so Debbie has no dyes. Again, so it's a basic white powder and it makes your drink very cloudy. So if I can pull out that. So there's your Dubby handle, or scoop. Let's not use the caffeine-free one because we're going to use a larger scoop, which is a caffeine one. And then Gamer Supps. Freaking tiny in comparison. So you've got that whole shtick that sits inside that canister. And that's a tiny canister. And then, just for fun, we'll pull out caffeine-free one. Basically, they're both about the same size, but one handle's shorter than the other. And again, you can just stick it in there like that and you're done. So one thing that like I said, the reason why I also gave the liquid comparisons with like 12 to 16 ounces is because, and then the 8 ounces on the Gamer Supps, is because of the cost of it. So when you get like a tub of G Fuel and a tub of Dubby, those are basically going to be about $36 base price. In fact, Dubby's raising their prices because their ingredients are getting to cost more. G Fuel, I'm not sure what they're doing, but you can get the box kit with like 20 packets in it for $30, I think. So for 35, 6 plus whatever they said they were going to raise it to, you get, where was it? 30 servings of W, and that's approximately like using the larger amount, 16 ounces of drink. So with 30 servings from Dubby, I looked at all the G Fuel tubs, and again, for about $36, some of them they put on sale for $30, basically as their storefront pricing without any discount codes. You're getting 40 servings per tub for that same price. Okay? So 35 or 36 plus more, and then 35, 36, 30 to 36, you get 40. So you get 10 more servings. Again, 16 ounces of drink, and even G Fuel has some ready-to-drink ones if you're really into that kind of a thing. They sell that now, and yeah. So, and now with the Gamer Sups, it is, so if you're getting the caffeine-free variety, it's 120 servings per canister. Again, tiny scoop, tiny tub, much easier to store. And if you're getting the energy one with the caffeine in it, it's 100 servings per canister. Now, again, that's 8 ounces of drink if you do it according to the directions. Maybe up to 12, because I think they do... Yeah, they don't really bump it up at all, actually. So, but again, you can dilute it according to your needs or what all, and add ice or whatever to your preferences. So, if you look at the liquid amount that you're getting, so you would basically get 50 G Fuel and Dubby servings out of the caffeinated variety, and then you would get 60 G Fuel or Dubby servings out of the caffeine-free variety, which again, they have a caffeine-free counterpart for just about every one of their flavors in the caffeinated version. So, same price, more servings, and plus a little bit more natural sweetener in it, which I think is a plus for me, and it advertises itself as keto-friendly, which I assume is going to be the case, which also, I think, has other implications, which I would have to contact their contact email about and ask about that, some of the processes that way. But so again, you get more value out of it than that. And in that 8 ounces, they have the same amount of caffeine as both of the others, and they're 16 ounces. So if you get like the caffeine-free and the energy, you can have the same amount of caffeine with probably a little bit higher concentration of vitamins in it than the other two have, but you cut the caffeine while not exactly cutting the flavor that you want. So that's the other thing too, is I know for some people, like having a caffeine-free variety is important. So Dubby has fewer flavors on their storefront and things like that. And they've got some merch. They seem to be like just barely starting up still. So that's one thing to look out for. They just had a new flavor come out. They've had supply chain issues with some of their ingredients on the supply chain, so they don't even have their samples out, which really kind of... I wish I could have had samples a little bit sooner, because it would have been nice to be able to test it out before then. And then the G Fuel, of course, you only get a starter pack. They don't really give free samples, but they're only caffeine-free variety if that's something that, again, you're looking for, is in their hydration line, which they don't have that much of, again. But they have merch, they have cups and stuff like that. And if you wanted to have, the same watermelon flavor in, your G Fuel or the Dragonade flavor in your Dubby, but you wanted it caffeine-free, that's not an option. Gamer Subs provides that option for you. So, I mean, if you wanted to cut the caffeine content down in a 16-ounce cup, or you just wanted to have caffeine free so that you could go to sleep at night, you've got that option. They give you that option. And then the other thing, so the one thing that bothers a lot of people is like powder. So Dubby has powder in it. I just mixed up like a cup today and tried to drink it, and you do get that like powder feeling and flavor like early on. Q feels kind of the same way. It like varies from like packet to packet, flavor to flavor and whatnot, where you get some powder in the bottom, you get none at all. So I end up like swirling these two around to try and avoid all that powder flavor. And everybody's like, oh, well, the powder's just fine. It's like that pre-workout or post-workout, whatever. It's like, yeah, but do we really have to deal with the powder? Because one thing with Gamer Sups that I had is like none of that powder left in the bottom. So yes, like Sunday at church, I had basically prepped up a cup of guacamole gamer fart and left it in the car through all of church and came back to it and no powder, basically. I really didn't even have to shake it around to like get the powder at the bottom to settle because there isn't that powder issue. So same price, more bang for your buck. Even though it's like less of a scoop, it still has like that full flavor that you can still cut out of. So you've still got your full flavor, less powder. It's easier to store because the tubs are smaller. Because, you know, you get that G Fuel going on and you're gonna be like hurting for space if you get more than you could bargain for. But also, if you're one of those people that worry, like, either A, wants to displace your soda intake with something else that's slightly healthier, then this is a good option. But also, if you want to store up, like, your caffeinated drinks in case of, like, certain situations because you want to be prepared for those, this is, I think, is a really good option because it's a drink mix for one. So powder will store a little bit better than, a can or a bottled soda. And plus it provides a little bit more, it's more nutrient rich than soda will ever be. Well, than they'll ever make it. And so, I mean, really, there's only, like right here, I've only got one caffeinated variety, but they're all the same price. Whether you get, so you get more servings with caffeine-free version, but you don't have the caffeine in it. And if you're looking for the caffeine, you always have the option of buying a caffeinated version of most of these flavors, or a caffeine-free version of most of the flavors. And then some of them, I believe they exclusively have in caffeine-free. So, like I said, Dubby was pretty, like, they basically accept you into their affiliate program as long as you breathe. Gamer Sups takes a little bit longer to decide on whether they want to accept you. And so I haven't heard back yet about that. So yeah, no codes for you. But if I were to pick one, I think I would pick Gamer Sups over the rest. And so you spend $100+ on your cool drink mix thing, and then you get a lot more bang for your buck, and no powder at the bottom, and less diabetes flavor than some of the others. I will add a caveat that, like, some of the flavors will enhance that, like, artificial, like, sweetener, diabetes sweetener, whatever flavor to it, like some of the, like, the melon misfits. But most of the citrusy type ones, and like the guacamole gamer fart, does pretty well at, like, avoiding that. So yeah. Remember, guys, if you appreciate what you saw, if anything, any of this helped you, you can scream at me on Discord, on Guilded, on any of the other chat things, on Matrix and whatnot. Links are down in the description. I believe I've even included my XMPP in there. Check it all out and drop a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think at all, any of that kind of stuff. And I'll see you in the next one.